If you're going through a breakup or in a toxic relationship, I'm about to give you the shift that will change everything for you, because it changed everything for me and how I show up in life and in love. My name is Dr. Lilli. I help you heal from breakups and toxic relationships. I'm live here on TikTok, and I'm so excited to share with you this shift that will change and then what will happen when you make this shift, because it is so powerful and it will finally get you the relationship that you desire. A little background about me: I am a naturopathic doctor licensed in Arizona. I do mindset and relationship coaching based on neuroscience and attachment. So this shift, let me think about it. You need to decide that you want to change, that you want something better, that you get to have better. Because right now you believe that this relationship, this person, it's probably toxic, is all that you get to have. There's nothing better out there. Part of you might even feel like you need to settle, like it's necessary, everybody does it, and that this is just how relationships are. You fight all the time. Maybe the other person can't show up for you emotionally, and you think that that's what love is, and you just have to settle for that, but you don't have to settle for that. And the moment that you decide that you get to have more, that's when everything starts to change. Hi, Tay. I want to say hello and invite you in. And I want you to realize that when you make this decision, it truly costs you nothing. As long as you are, let's say you're fresh out of a breakup, or you're still in a toxic relationship, and you're thinking, hello, Erin, and you're thinking that this is all that you get to have, you're going to be stuck, it's going to be painful, you're never going to love again, you're never going to have a better relationship or a better fit partner. That keeps you stuck in this mentality of being a victim, that there's nothing better for you, and you truly can't get anything more from that. You can't go any further. And it costs you nothing to decide that you want better and that you get to have better. So make the decision today that you are going to take the steps necessary to have what you actually want. Hello, casual TikToker. Just want to say welcome in. I am going to be doing a Q&A, so you guys can leave your questions in the chat below, and I will get to them throughout this live. And I'm happy you're here. So right now, you have the decision to decide whether you are going to trade short-term pain for long-term gain, or if you're going to decide to stay stuck in long-term pain. This is why people will stay in toxic relationships for years and years and years. Some people marry an unhealthy partner that they saw the signs before they got married, and they knew that this person really wasn't meeting their needs or couldn't respect their boundaries, but they stayed with them for years and years. And some people might consider that to be a healthy relationship or a successful relationship because they're in a relationship for the long term. But that's the problem with society right now, is that we say that the length of a relationship is the measure of success, when really the measure of success in a relationship should be how healthy and happy the people are within the relationship, rather than just the simple fact that they have it. Because as long as we view relationships as being successful or an achievement, we're going to try to perform in order to have them. And that's ultimately going to lead us to be in an unhealthy relationship for the long term. And I've had clients that have been in long-term marriages for 20, 30, 40 years, where they were unhappy for that whole time, where they weren't treated well, where they maybe were even cheated on multiple times throughout that time. So you get to decide whether you want to put in the work now, decide whether you really want the unhealthy relationship, or to settle for what you think is right because that's what society deems as successful. Or if you're going to decide that you deserve better, you get to have a healthy, expansive relationship and take the actions to actually get there. I actually just saw a stat yesterday that said, men specifically, that men who put energy, time, and effort into self-development and inner work, they actually have happier, healthier relationships. So look at that. They get healthier partners as well. So not just the relationship is better, but they actually attract healthier partners. And that's because your inner world will match the people that you're going to attract and be attracted to. If you believe that everybody cheats, then you're going to continue to, one, accept that everybody in the world cheats, which means that you're probably going to accept that your partner might cheat on you, or you're going to believe that any woman or man that you interact with is going to be a cheater. And two, then you're also going to energetically be vibrating at that same level of somebody who is willing to break that agreement or covenant within the relationship, and you're more likely to just attract that type of person based off of your belief system. So when you're healthier, when you believe that that's not okay, then you stop attracting people that are going to be more likely to cheat or disrespect the relationship or be mean or abusive to you in any sense of the term. So again, you get to decide whether you want short-term pain, which the pain doesn't even have to be hard, it doesn't have to be challenging, it doesn't always feel good, but that growth is like when you go to the gym and you're working out and it's hard and you have to push through and you have to make PRs and you do the reps. It's not necessarily fun in the moment, but you can appreciate the process, and once you're out of it, you can see that the growth and the gains that you get are worth it. And so you can make the pain and the challenge fun for you. Okay. Do you think modern relationships are healthier or more toxic than 20 plus years ago? I think, honestly, I think they could be very similar. I think it's highlighted more these days, all of the unhealthy relationships that are out there, and I think the standards and the things that we expect from relationships are different. But I think 20 plus years ago, the olden days of what people tend to idolize from the past, I think there's still a lot of suppression. There was still a lot of alcoholism was really big. There was a lot of challenge within the relationship that I think wasn't talked about or known because people didn't see divorce as much of an option back then. And so again, people viewed the length of a relationship as being success, when really the measure of success should be how healthy and happy you are within the relationship. Because that's why we have the sayings of like the old ball and chain, and so many grumpy like grandparents or people believing that marriage is bad. It's probably because they were not in a healthy, happy relationship. Whereas now we have other things that are making relationships harder and more difficult in different ways. Happy holidays. Okay, so moving on. So I want to tell you about when you decide that you get to have more, that you get better, that you don't have to spend your life and your time with somebody that is unhealthy for you or abusive or just yells at you all the time or creates a lot of conflict and is not able to have a healthy conversation about it, whether they just blow up at you or whether they decide that they're going to leave and they get defensive and they shut down. You get to make the decision to choose something better, and the benefit of that is very great. So when you leave, even through a breakup, even though the breakup is painful and difficult, there are so many things that you get from it. One is that you get to get your self-respect back. It's very easy to lose your self-respect when you're in an unhealthy relationship, when you know that this person isn't treating you well, you know that you're not speaking up for your needs, but you're going along with it anyways. You're accepting it anyways. And as you continue to accept disrespect from the person that you're with, you are going to lose respect for yourself because you're teaching yourself that it is okay to treat you that way. It is okay to accept negative, harmful, poor behavior from somebody else. And it's also probably going to break down the way that you talk and see yourself. And that is then further going to hurt your sense of self-respect. You're going to bend your boundaries. You're not going to talk about your needs. You're not going to have the difficult conversations that are necessary to create this healthy relationship. And again, so many people like to determine that if it's a healthy relationship or a good relationship, you never fight. That's not true. You're going to have conflict. Nobody is going to perfectly match up with the other person. You're going to have disagreements. People are going to have bad days. The problem is when you ignore those times of conflict or issues that are coming up. If you try to sweep them under the rug and pretend like they don't exist, maybe that's how you grew up with your family, is you didn't talk about the problems. You just they happened. Maybe there was a blow up and then you just pretended like it didn't happen. And that was the way that you moved forward. But now, because of that, you believe that that's normal and you don't know how to repair. The problem is you can never create a deeper, more understanding relationship between you and your partner if you never have the conversation about what needs to be done, if you never have the conversation of how you feel and how the other person feels, because at that point you just don't understand each other. You're getting further and further apart as you don't address the issue or the conflict, whereas repair allows you to actually come closer and get to know each other better and strengthen your connection. I'm going to take a quick pause to check to see. I think there were some questions in here. User says, going on a second date with a girl. Last date was 2 weeks ago and I feel the spark has fizzled away. Okay, why has the spark fizzled away? You said last date was 2 weeks ago. So why was the date 2 weeks ago, the first date, and not within the next week? That's where you can easily lose that connection, because I don't know how frequently you're talking, but one, it's best to get to know a person in person, live, when you're with them. You get to feel their energy, they get to feel your energy. And if you're having maybe surface level conversations, or you're not creating that tension and excitement and seeing each other frequently enough, it's really common for that spark to just fizzle away. So depending on, it sounds like you're the man and you're the leader and the masculine in this relationship. So it is up to you to be that driving force to move things forward. Sam says, broke no contact with my avoidant ex. Going good so far, just taking it slow. Okay, Sam, what made you reach out? How is it going? You're taking it slow. It sounds like maybe she's entertaining you talking to her, but maybe you haven't had a full conversation. And if you are trying to have a relationship with somebody who has an avoidant attachment style, it's going to be difficult to create something real and healthy and not repeat the pattern if the other person, the one with the avoidant attachment style, is not able to talk about what happened, why it ended, take some accountability, work on themselves. Are they addressing and acknowledging that they tend to pull back, they tend to shut down, they like to have space to process things, or are they just pretending like nothing happened and you're just kind of seeing how things go? When you're in that seeing how things go stage, you're probably going to end up hurt. So I highly recommend that you have this conversation, you lead it as the man, tell her what it is that you need, remind her that you're there for her, you do want to support her, and you need a partner that can show up for you, that wants to have these conversations and grow and come closer together. So just make sure you're having all of those conversations. River Rat, hello River Rat, it's good to see you again. Says, my ex of 8 years is with his coworker 1 month after saying he loved me, still attached to me. Is with his coworker. Are you saying they're dating their coworker? It sounds like, one, they might have had something for this coworker prior, or two, they are just using this coworker to avoid and mask the feelings that they're experiencing from going through your breakup. Okay, it has to reload here, so let me scroll back up. User says, makes sense, thanks. The holidays and communication has been vague lately. Okay, yeah, so the other thing is, I'm not sure how your date went, user, but it could be that she was a little bit interested, but not super interested, and if things just kind of fizzled out, everybody was too busy, then maybe she just didn't have enough interest in moving forward, and that's why things are fizzling out. And that's not a bad thing. I would say just go and find somebody else who is going to be more aligned with you. It's better to focus on somebody that is interested in you back rather than somebody who is just lukewarm about you. Eric says, went no contact, but I broke no contact multiple times. Started on May, she unblocked me in December. Okay, but I broke no contact. Well, started in May of last year and then unblocked you in December. I'm not sure what's happening, but it sounds like it's probably not healthy right now. It sounds like you're a little bit confused. Nobody knows what's happening. So I recommend getting clarity or just going back no contact. Chad says, why do I have to... Okay, I'm not going to answer that question. Let's just say that if you're begging for any sort of physical intimacy, especially from a woman, it's probably because she doesn't feel fully safe or comfortable or feel like the emotional connection is there. And so that's where you need to start to rebuild that, because a woman that is truly interested and connected and excited and feels safe with you, she's going to want to be physically connected to you. So I would start with having a conversation about what it is that she needs, seeing if there's anything that needs to be worked on in the relationship. Maybe you're missing something and you don't realize it. So work on rebuilding that emotional connection and really make her feel chosen and adored, and that will make her more excited and want to be more physical with you. Ryan says, been talking to an avoidant and things were great, had one hard talk and now she ghosted for a week. Yep, that sounds very common for an avoidant, and you need to figure out then for yourself if that is a pattern that you're going to be okay with. And I do want you to consider, if that is something that you're going to be okay with, why? Why do you feel like you can't have a partner that will show up and have those hard conversations with you? Is that something that you want? Or do you believe, subconsciously maybe, that if you do bring up your needs or do have a hard conversation, that it's not going to go well and that you will be left? And if you believe that that is true, then you're only going to continue to attract partners that will reinforce that idea to you. But just know that there are many, many other people who do want to have those conversations, who are willing to have those conversations, and they actually appreciate being able to get to know you and work through the conflict with you rather than just ghosting. Eric says, as an anxiously attached being, regulated and, this has to reload, being regulated and working towards secure, sometimes it feels like indifference. If it feels like indifference and you typically have an anxious attachment style, it could be that you are actually suppressing your emotions. So you're trying not to be excited and you're trying to push it down, and you're actually disconnecting from your emotions entirely in order to appear or feel secure, rather than actually allowing yourself to have excitement and enjoy the process while being regulated as a more securely attached person. So if it feels like apathetic or indifferent, it could be that you're actually just completely severing yourself from that connection to your own emotions in order to keep yourself safe. Sherwin says, so I'm an anxious attachment style and I'm having a hard time letting go of my ex. How do I do that? Great question. I have so many videos on that, especially on my YouTube channel. But at first, I would recommend that you do go fully no contact, because that will just give you the space energetically, emotionally to focus on yourself. 2, start digging deeper into how you showed up in the relationship and why you, my guess is that you probably allowed boundaries to be crossed. You probably didn't share your needs, or maybe when you did share your needs, they left and didn't come back, or they left and they never readdressed the issue in the first place, and you maybe let that slide. And you were like, okay, I guess, and in that instance, you probably decided, I guess my needs don't matter. I guess I better keep quiet because my needs are going to push somebody away. So dig deeper into what beliefs drive that and why you think that that's okay for you, or why you think that it's okay to suppress your needs. In what scenarios is that okay? When in a real relationship, and you do know that in the relationship that you desire, you're going to have certain needs that you have to express, and the partner that you desire is going to also want to hear you out and meet them. But right now, probably some part of you believes that the partner that you choose won't do that, and so that's why you accept it, which is all about, which is exactly what this video is supposed to be about, is deciding that you deserve more and you get to have it, and then taking aligned action to get that. And then also work on regulating your emotions and really stop putting your focus so much on the avoidantly attached person and bring your focus back to yourself. Again, so asking those deeper questions, allowing yourself to feel emotions. A lot of times, myself included, I was a big, what we call intellectualizer of emotions, where I thought about my emotions. I didn't realize I wasn't feeling them, but I was thinking about them. I was like, oh, I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? Where is that coming from? Oh, I feel anxious. All these things. And I tried to figure out the story behind it. instead of actually feeling it, because it was harder, scarier, more uncomfortable to feel the emotion rather than think about the emotion. Because typically with somebody that tends to intellectualize or think about the emotions, they at one point learned that it wasn't safe to feel your emotions. So maybe as a child you were told that you're not allowed to cry, or your emotions were just disregarded or neglected, or maybe you had a parent who was very emotional, and so you learned that there was no room to express your own emotions, or you got yelled at if you were angry, upset, frustrated, and so you learned that it wasn't okay to have those emotions, and so instead you just thought about them in your head rather than actually felt them. Okay. Let me go back to these questions. Mike, or I don't know why I'm here, says, Mike, why does the mother of my children seem to get mad at any little thing I do? She left me over a year ago and I tried to get us back together. Mother might seem to get mad at every little thing I do. Well, there's probably something that you're missing. She's probably voiced some sort of concern or needing help, and she doesn't feel fully supported by you. So that's where I would start. I don't know enough about your relationship to say, but that is probably what it is, because especially as a mother, she wants support. She doesn't want to be alone in this. She doesn't want to feel like she doesn't have your support or a partner to help her with the responsibilities and the duties of being a parent. And she wants to be in a relationship with a real actual partner rather than feeling like she has to take care of somebody else. So it could be something that you're missing in the communication, and I'm happy to do a one-on-one private call. You can book that on my page to really dive deeper into this, but my guess is in some way or form she doesn't feel fully supported, and she would like you to take more initiative in, maybe it's helping her out with the kids, or maybe giving her some time to herself to just like refresh, rejuvenate. It could be a lot of different things. If she doesn't want to be with me, wouldn't she not get bothered by any of it? Well, okay. So that's the part that I was saying, is she probably does want to be with you, and that's why she's staying, and that's why she's getting frustrated, is because she wants to be with you, but she doesn't feel like she's getting the support that she really needs. Jose says, my girlfriend broke up with me. I'm so sorry, Jose. I know it's tough. I know it's really challenging. I don't know the dynamics of your relationship, but I recommend, of course, going no contact, figuring out what you can do better in a future relationship, having gratitude right now for the experience, for the lessons, because every relationship and every breakup is powerful. You get something from it. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a great thing, because no matter what, you're getting something from the experience. And as long as you're actually reflecting and trying to get the lesson, and having gratitude, one, for being able to have the lesson, and then implementing the lessons that you learned and the things that you can do better in a future relationship. That's how you make it really worth it. Megan says, have you read Plato's Republic? I have not read that book, actually. Jose says, my ex has another guy after 3 weeks after we broke up. I think it's my fault. I'm not sure why you broke up. It could be your fault, but if she's already moving on with another guy, it also sounds like she's covering up and her feelings and looking for that extra validation. I am present 100% of the time for our kids, says, I don't know why I'm here. I would need to know more about your relationship. If you're present for your kids, maybe she feels like you are present for them, but not for her. Maybe there could, my guess is there's got to be something missing, because or she's super stressed out already, and so anything that you do is just going to fry her nervous system even more. So if she's already exhausted, it's like when you're super annoyed, or you haven't eaten in a long time and you're starving, or you're super tired, every little thing, your tolerance for other behavior or issues that come up is just going to get even shorter. Your fuse is going to be shorter. So it could be that she's just completely overwhelmed and she needs extra support. I don't know how old the kids are, but especially in those younger ages, it's really hard, and it's a big change in the relationship. You said we have 50-50, and whenever she needs help, I am there. I'll book something. Okay. 50-50 as in with the kids or something else? Is she still working? I don't know. Mutter says, how do I convince my partner to go with me to the gym when she gets mad when I go solo? Well, maybe ask her, why is she mad when you go to the gym solo? What is she worried about is going to happen? And maybe she is a little bit too clingy to you. I don't know if there's anything that has happened in your past with her or you going to the gym. Maybe she doesn't want to go to the gym and she just wants to stay home, and maybe that's a mismatch in your values or what you're looking for in a relationship. 50-50 custody, okay. Advice on abusive relationships is leave. Advice on GNRL relationships is to stay and work. Why different? GNRL, I'm not sure what you're asking, Rob. Kids, but I don't. She wants kids, but I don't. Thoughts. If that is a huge thing to have to decide on if you are dating somebody, and that is a huge change in your relationship. It's not something that can really be changed because you want different things in your life. And especially if it's early on, I would guess and hope that you're able to make the decision whether this is really going to be right for you. If there's that huge difference in what you desire, it's not going to be worth it to continue the relationship because it's just going to cause more pain and harm in the end. I don't know. Somebody seems to be having a conversation with themselves. Jose says, do you think she still loves me? Well, she is with this new guy because we've been together for 6 years. She probably does still love you even though she's with that new guy. Nick says, my ex of 5 years, who I was in a long distance relationship with for about a year, broke up with me. Okay. Is there a question? I'm very sorry. Sorry, this is so chaotic with all the chats. I'm so sorry. I know how painful that is. For about a year, broke up with a relationship. My ex of 5 years, who I was in a long distance relationship with for about half a year. Okay, so you were half a year long distance and then you were together. I'm so sorry that happened. I'm not sure why it ended, but there's so much that you can do to heal and move forward, and I would want to know why it ended. Rob says a general relationship. So an abusive relationship and a general relationship, they're very different things. If it's a, let's say, general or healthy relationship and you break up because there's a difference in what you want long term, or you just don't ultimately see that there's compatibility, it's very different because there's not significant unhealthy behavior. Both people have put in effort. Both people are doing the healthy thing to show up in the relationship. So the advice there is going to be very different than if there's a neglectful relationship, or if there's a lot of toxic, unhealthy behavior, need for validation, that kind of thing. Nick said, she was my girlfriend for broken. The wanting kid. Right now, yeah. I have no idea. Okay, so anyways, let's talk about the things that you gain. So I mentioned that when you break up, when you decide that you deserve better, you gain self-respect. You gain an opportunity to heal. This is actually the best thing. You know how people glow up after breakups? Not everybody does, but when you decide that you want better, when you decide that you're going to pour into yourself and not be stuck in the pain, in the victim mindset, you have the opportunity to be your best self, your highest self. You get to know yourself more deeply and heal the wounds inside that made you believe that you deserved somebody who wasn't treating you well or couldn't show up to those hard conversations. Now you have the opportunity to heal the parts of you that made you feel like you had to love out of fear or out of scarcity, and now you can show up in the world as a more secure, confident, calm, safe person rather than also feeling like you have to rely on somebody else for the love and validation that you desire. So it's a really beautiful opportunity to come up to express yourself from a place of wholeness rather than feeling like you have a lack and you need something outside of yourself in order to be happy. Because the reason that you've stayed with somebody is really not because you love them so much. And the thing is, you probably do feel like you love them a lot, and you probably do love them a lot, but that's not the reason that we stay in a relationship with somebody that isn't treating us well, with somebody that is neglecting us or telling us that we don't deserve better, or even making us fear for our safety or our well-being or their safety and well-being because maybe they threaten to hurt themselves. All of that isn't simply because we love them so much. It's actually because we feel like we're responsible for the other person and their emotions, or we feel like we need them to validate that we're worthy of love, or that we see love as being something that we can accomplish, which makes us successful, and then therefore viewed by other people as being better and more valuable. Let me see what other questions there are. Is she covering her pain and that's why she's with this guy? Jose, she's probably covering the pain. Yes, you are correct. Jose said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And she said, we can be friends. I would not recommend being friends with her just because it's going to be so difficult and so painful for you. Hey, Gwyneth. It's going to be so difficult and so painful for you to continue to be friends with this person because you are very much in love with them and she's seeing somebody else. So it's not going to be good for you long term in the end. Okay. The next thing that you get when you decide that you get and deserve more than you've been accepting is you get to gain your self-worth back. Again, when you've bent your boundaries, when you've decided that them spending time with their friends constantly rather than making time for you once a week or whatever it is, you're saying that, my happiness is not as important as their happiness, or spending time with me and feeding into the relationship is not as valuable as them getting to do whatever they want. And so slowly over time, your sense of self-worth gets broken down more and more. And if you're seeing them as somebody who is, I have like a bug bite or something, as somebody who is validating you, validating your worth and your ability to be loved, that means that you also don't believe that you are inherently worthy of that. So when you get out of an unhealthy relationship, you can start to cultivate that sense of self-worth, and that's how you don't get in a relationship with somebody that's going to treat you the same way, because so many people will break up, not do the work, and just date the same type of person in another body because they never actually worked on their own self-worth and their own healing. And when you do that, not just in your head, not just deciding I'm worthy of more, but actually believing it in your subconscious, doing that inner work, which is what I do with my clients, you actually start to feel, not just know in your head that, yes, I'm worthy of love, I deserve love, but you actually feel it in your body. You know with every fiber of your being that that is what you get to have and you deserve it. So you get more self-worth. You also get confidence for the same reasons. And when you're going through a breakup, you often need to go out and try new things. Keep your mind focused on other things. This is not to say don't feel your emotions, because that's a very important part of it. You need to feel your emotions to actually heal and get through it. If you continue to avoid them by always keeping yourself distracted and never feeling them, or jumping into a relationship with somebody else right away, or dating other people, or getting physical with other people, or turning to drugs or alcohol or social media and constantly using that to distract yourself rather than feel the emotions that are coming up, then you again are going to lock up those emotions in your body, which oftentimes manifests as some sort of physical symptom. Maybe there's a pain in your heart that never goes away. It becomes more difficult to breathe. Maybe you get digestive issues. All of that will stay because you've never actually healed the wound that has been created from this experience. So when you allow yourself to feel, then you can process through that grief. Then you stop thinking and ruminating about them all the time. Then you don't have to spend years and years wondering what if with that person, because you've actually let it go. and then you're able to go out, do these new things. So that's the other one, is that you get to develop new hobbies. So you get to try, whatever it is, acro yoga, or go fishing for the first time, or try salsa dancing, whatever it is. And that will help you, one, get a new skill, get a new hobby, and two, meet new people, and three, build your confidence in being able to do something new, build your confidence in being able to go out in the real world and do something that maybe otherwise would have scared you. Maybe you're going places alone that you never would have in the past because you felt too uncomfortable. But now that you're at the point where you have to push past that comfort zone, you get to build your confidence because you're doing something challenging for yourself. So a great way to build your confidence is figure out what scares you and then go start doing those things. And when you do those things and you show yourself that it's actually not that scary, there aren't that significant of negative consequences, whatever it is, maybe you do have a moment of embarrassment, but you get through it. That builds your confidence. That shows you that you can do it even if it feels bad. You can do it even if you're scared. And you start to see yourself as being someone powerful and confident because you can go step out into any room or any situation and know that you've always got your own back, that it's going to be okay no matter what. And when you can cultivate your own inner sense of safety, that's when you can also approach love and dating with that same sense of safety, where you don't need them to validate you. You don't need them to make you feel whole, but you actually know that you're going to be okay no matter what. You're happy no matter what, even if they break up with you, even if they were to cheat on you. Yes, it might hurt. It will be painful, but you're going to be okay. And that's how you get rid of the anxiety around a relationship and the questioning, the self-worth questions of when you go through a breakup of, am I not enough? Does this prove that I don't deserve more, that I'm not valuable enough to be loved, that nobody will love me? You stop having those thoughts because you've created the inner safety and inner peace and inner confidence to know that that's not the case. Even if somebody else thinks that you're not enough, which most of the time, nobody actually changes their evaluation of your value. Nobody really cares that much about your value in a way. They just want to know if you're a good fit for them. And so when you stop thinking that they're having these thoughts, you become invincible to the idea that you're less than anybody else, because you know in your heart and in your mind that you are just as valuable as everyone else. And maybe you even start to see that somebody else who can't show up to the relationship, who doesn't fully choose you, who needs to talk to other people to maintain that validation, have close friends that make you uncomfortable because the friends obviously want to get with them or whatever it is, you start to see that as not being a valuable partner to you, and seeing that, oh, I actually deserve a partner that can show up better than they can. And then next, I'm getting out of breath. You get your light back. Unhealthy relationships can be so draining because there's so much stress, there's so much worry and questioning about what is happening. There's maybe a lot of confusion. A lot of people will tend to lose their hair, have headaches, have digestive issues because they just feel so uncomfortable and so unsafe in this relationship. And so when you are able to separate yourself from that, to start healing and working on yourself, your light comes back, you get your health back, your hair starts growing again, or it stops coming in gray and starts coming in as its regular color, and all of the light and the energy comes back to you, because you no longer are being burdened and weighed down by the stress of the relationship. So that's honestly one of the best things that you get. And then you're also making space for your forever person to come in. As long as you are hung up on this person or this ex who you know isn't showing up in the way that's necessary for a healthy relationship, is very emotionally avoidant, can't have those difficult conversations, never wants to repair after conflict, you're filling up your energetic space and bucket of this unhealthy person and not making room for somebody that actually is in alignment for you to come into your life. So as long as you're continuing to think about them, or you're staying in the unhealthy relationship, you are blocking your own blessings from coming in, because your person is maybe out there. They might be praying and waiting for you, and they're like, when am I going to meet my person? Maybe they're even feeling like giving up, and you are their blessing, but right now you're too busy focused on this person who doesn't even fully want you or choose you, when this person that would give you the world is just waiting for you to let that go so that they can come into your life. Okay, let me check the comments again, see if there's any more questions here. Everything has to reload, so I have to scroll way back up. So give me a hot second. I broke up with him from impulse and I regret it. Kyla. Okay, well, why did you break up with him? If you regret it, you can always have a conversation and really address and take accountability for how you showed up. But first, do the reflection on why you felt an impulse to break up from him. Was it because you felt like it was getting too close? Do you tend to have more of an emotionally avoidant attachment style? Was it getting a little bit too vulnerable and you self-sabotage? And if that's the case, then you also need to not only go back to him and take accountability for that, but also work on the triggers and the subconscious programming and the nervous system programming right now that you have that made you feel like you needed to self-sabotage, that made you feel like something was too good and you had to, it was too good for you and you didn't deserve it, and so you decided to leave. I don't know the reason that you broke up and what impulse it was, but address that. Make sure you're continuing to work on that, because just because you get back together, if you do get back together, it doesn't mean that it's going to be healthy and you'll stay together. You might have that impulse again. And so you're going to want to work on working on the trigger for that, not feeling like you have to self-sabotage, working through those patterns, and then being able to communicate and have that open conversation with him. Jay says, I'm scared that he took the best part away from me and I'll never get it back. The best part? What is the best part of you? Why would anybody else be able to get the best part of you? You get to decide whether that is the best part of you or if there's something even greater. Because I bet when you decide and you commit to growing yourself and developing and loving yourself even more, that when you give yourself all of that love, you actually become even greater. And what you thought was maybe the best part of you was just a moderate part of you, and the best is yet to come. So don't worry about that. I don't know. All these crazy comments in here. There's a lot of just spam comments that I don't know how to deal with. Sorry, y'all. Let me just let go of this person. If you guys have questions, I will answer them down below. But give me 1 second while I get rid of this person. Sweet. Okay. Can someone go from an avoidant to anxious? I think I was avoidant with an ex and then changed. It is possible for your attachment style to change depending on the situation, depending on the person. I think I was avoidant with an ex and then changed to anxious. My question would be, what is making you feel like you are now anxiously attached and what's showing up for you? And then the other thing is that anxious and avoidant, they're two sides of the same coin. So both of them do have a lot of anxiety. And both of them, it could also be that you have more of a fearful avoidant or anxious avoidant attachment style. And so that's why it might look a little different than what you think a typical avoidant or typical anxiously attached person would show up as. So I would want to know more again of how this is looking for you, and then work on the trigger that makes you feel anxious, that is making you feel like you are reliant on this other person for something to feel safe, really, is what it generally is. Okay. Too anxious after from a bad relationship. It depends on what that happened, Joaquin. I do want to know more. I don't know how you say I'm mime. How to change or heal attachment style. So what you want to do if you want to heal your insecure attachment style is, one, get to the root of what gets triggered when you have these attachment patterns show up. Is it because you feel like they're going to leave you? And then what part of you feels like you have to either cling on closer or run away? And start to address and heal that. Are you looking for, are you looking for safety? Are you looking for reassurance? Do you feel like you are not enough and so they need to prove to you that you are? What is it that you're looking for from them? And start to give it to yourself. The other great way to start working on this is to identify, okay, how does a secure person show up in a relationship? How do they show up, or what would they think if, let's say, their partner isn't texting them back fast enough? Or how would they address this conflict or situation in the relationship? What would a secure person do? And then embody the actions that they would take. And over time, you will build that self-trust and the belief that you are this secure person. And then the very important piece that a lot of people miss is you do need to work with your nervous system, with your body. So this is also something that I do with my clients, because you can decide in your brain that you want to be better, you don't want to have an insecure attachment style, you're going to show up a certain way, and you can make all these rigid rules and restrictions, but maybe when it comes down to it, when you get activated into that fight or flight state because you're afraid that you're going to be abandoned, you stop switching from the part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is the decision-making part of your brain that said, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to show up secure, I'm going to have these boundaries and these rules and make sure I follow them. And you switch to your limbic part of your brain, or the amygdala, which is that fear center. And then you're driven by this fight or flight fear response that says, I'm in danger, I'm going to switch to my programmed attachment mechanisms or defense mechanisms based off of my attachment style. And then just, even though you decided that you weren't going to show up anxiously attached, or you decided that you weren't going to show up avoidantly attached, you no longer have control, because it's that limbic part of your system, the nervous system, that is deciding, this is dangerous, we're going to do what we know will keep us safe, and either flee, shut down, get defensive, because that's what an avoidant does, or we're going to cling on and attach and send this person 500 texts in a day, or make sure that they stay with me and don't have space, or we're going to tell them that we're going to threaten to leave them just to see if they will fight for us and come back for me, to make sure and show me that I'm safe, that this person really wants me. Because these attachment behaviors aren't based off of logical reasoning. If they were based off of logical reasoning, you could stop being so insecurely attached instantly, because you could decide, oh, that makes no sense, I'm just going to do something different. So you really need to work with your nervous system and your body to help it see that it is safe in these situations, help it regulate and release the emotions and the trauma that it's holding on to, that's making it believe that it has to earn love, or it has to follow these attachment behaviors to keep it safe. So when you create that inner safety, you actually lose the need to have to do those typical defense mechanisms to keep you attached to this person. There's one other thing I wanted to say about this that was kind of important. It's escaping me right now, but it might come back in just a sec. Sebastian Rodri says, having a baby with a jealous woman, it's very toxic. Any advice? That is very, very challenging. You're having a baby with a jealous woman, so it sounds like you're not married. It sounds like you might not be in a relationship either. I would just have very strong, healthy boundaries with her. I would probably just focus on keeping the child happy and healthy and less on the relationship with the woman. If you're not together, keep your lives generally separate, or she's going to allow her jealousy patterns to take over, and it's going to create a chaotic environment for both you and the child. Mim says, I'm anxious, preoccupied. My relationship gets bumpy because of my attachment style. Yeah, so again, dig deep into what gets triggered there. What are you feeling in your body? Get in tune with your emotions and the experiences that your body is going through that's telling you this is unsafe, and start working through that. Gosh, there was something else that was very important that I wanted to share on that topic, but again, it's not coming to me. If my partner is jealous and toxic when I've done nothing wrong, where does that come from? It comes from their own insecurity from their upbringing. So there could be things that you could do to make them feel safer in the relationship, but if they are fully lacking that internal sense of safety, there's probably not a healthy extent that you can go to make them feel safe, because we're responsible for our own internal safety. And when somebody is super reliant on somebody else to make them safe, it's going to create an unhealthy dynamic, because they are making you responsible for them and their emotions when they are a fully individuated adult who needs to be responsible for themselves. Otherwise, they are going to constantly be reliant on you, and it is going to create more jealous and toxic behaviors. So, I mean, you can ask them what they need from you. You can create healthy behaviors, guidelines that will be supportive for both of you, but also they need to be able to be okay with some space, to be okay with, I don't know, maybe it's searching through your phone all the time. They need to work on what fears and anxieties are coming up for them that are making them feel like they need to be hypervigilant about you and the relationship. You are not responsible for them, and you're not responsible for fixing them. Rob La says, thank you so much for your insight and advice, Dr. Lilli. You're so welcome, Rob. If you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. And then Sinelli says, if you have a newborn child with an avoidant and she breaks up with you, how do you get her back? Oh, that is a very, very challenging topic. Here's what I have to say about that is, if you create, it's very difficult when it's a newborn, and the thing that you have to put first is the health of the child, right? The health, the wellness, the well-being of the child. And you do need to think about if this dynamic, the relationship that you're creating, is going to be a healthy example of a relationship for the child growing up. Now, our attachment patterns and our core wounds are often created by the age of 7. So if the child is experiencing a lot of stress and turmoil, that actually is going to affect their nervous system long term. The best thing to do is create a healthy co-parenting relationship that you can have with this person right now. I don't want you, like, it sounds like you might be trying to force something, and I don't know the specifics, so I can't tell you exactly what to do here. But create the healthiest environment for them. Make sure that the child knows that both parents love them a lot. Keep anxieties, conflict issues generally away from the child, and generally try to have it even away from the presence of the child, because the child is like a sponge and will absorb, even as a baby, even as an infant, the energy and the stress levels from both you and the mom. And also, if the mom is stressed out, that will allow other, like, the spike in cortisol and the change in hormones is going to affect how she feeds the baby if she's breastfeeding. I'm not entirely sure, but I would, like, for better, more specific advice, I would need to speak with you further about that. Okay. River Rat says, my ex blamed everything on me, and I'm scared of how she painted of how he painted me to his friends. That is one thing that you need to let go of for yourself. It doesn't matter how they're painting you. You have to be okay with being the villain or looking bad in somebody else's story. It's a tough thing to do, but it will bring you a lot more peace, a lot more acceptance over this situation as a whole, because when you're worried about something that you can't control, it just creates stress in your life that you truly have no control over. And there's no way to force or fix their perspective. You just have to be okay with other people thinking something about you that's maybe not true. And there's probably deeper roots to why there's this concern there, or why you need other people to view you a certain way, or maybe thoughts around what a good or bad person is or does that is making you more concerned with why their friends might have a certain view of you. And you don't even know if they're talking about you to their friends or painting you in whatever light that you think it could be. All of that is just a story that you're creating in your head. And think about, is that story doing any good for you, or is it just hurting you in the long term? Lang Jam says, my girlfriend's sister-in-law is planning to stay with her abuser through Christmas for her kids. Concerning? ? My girlfriend's sister-in-law. I don't necessarily think that staying with an abusive partner is ever good. But it sounds like this is a couple steps away from you. Obviously, it sounds like you care about this person, and you can support them and help them get to safety. I don't know what kind of abuse is happening, if it's physical, financial, something else. But you need to take care of yourself and also see that you cannot control them. You can do your best to give them all of the resources, all of the support, all of the ways in which that they can get out for themselves. But yes, I always think it's concerning to stay with an abusive partner, and it's also really hard for people who are in abusive relationships to get out. So I send so much love and care to her. But if she's waiting for Christmas and then she's gonna get out, at least she's getting out. That's the best thing. Daja says, I have a first date tomorrow. He's paying for my rental and hotel. He made an itinerary, but not the blank. Is that a red flag? I don't know what the blank is. So let me know. Ben says, my girlfriend and I broke up on Sunday on really good terms. She kissed me goodbye twice and said she loves me and always will love me. Now we're in no contact and it's been really hard. What are your thoughts? I think that's really beautiful that you were still able to share and have love for each other even though you were breaking up. I'm not sure the nature of the breakup. It sounds like you said on really good terms. So yes, there was love there, but it sounds like there was probably some other issues or conflict that wasn't addressed, and she maybe wasn't being fully heard or seen in the relationship, and that's why she felt like she had to leave. It sounds like she probably maybe wasn't so avoidant. I'm not sure, but I would need to know more details about that. I'm going to wrap up soon because my voice is failing and it has been a long time. Okay. Reservation. He didn't make reservations, but I had to mention they were booked up. All places required reservations. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a red flag. Red flags are generally like this person is not emotionally healthy or is not a good partner, not ready for a relationship. It sounds like maybe they're just not the best planner. And so if you're looking for somebody that is really good at planning and is really on top of things, then maybe it's a bad sign for this person because they are not showing that they're good at making plans or reservations. But they were paying for everything. So maybe they wanted you to help out. And you said this is a first date. It sounds like there's a lot going into this first date. I don't know what the situation is. If you're long distance and you're going to meet them, I would say for a first date and it's long distance, I would recommend the man coming to you, to your location, rather than you going there. But if so he didn't book anything, he just said he was going to pay for everything. Maybe I'm misunderstanding something. If he said he was going to pay for everything, I don't know when it is or how soon it is, but hasn't made reservations or isn't planning on making reservations, it could be at least a yellow of maybe their intentions aren't quite where you want them to be. The Nick Fit says, okay, but where are your earrings from? They were actually a gift, but thank you. Angela says, I reached out to her again after 2 months and we're trying things again, but she's scared we become codependent. It's possible. What work did you do in those 2 months? What did you talk about when you came back together? Do you have a plan to not be codependent, to address things differently than you did in the relationship before? It's definitely possible that you could be codependent, and I would definitely recommend working on those patterns, especially because you did break up, so there is a sign that there's something that wasn't right, and coming back together means that if that thing is still the same, you are probably going to break up again. If you take action to do things differently, then you have a better chance of working out. But the problem is that when a lot of people get back together, it's because they miss this person. It's really hard to be without them. They love them so much, but the problems from before stay the same, and they never do anything to actually fix the problems long term, and ultimately they end up breaking up later down the road. So if you need guidance, get guidance on that. I'm happy to do a coaching session, but really look at what went wrong and why you actually broke up in the first place, and create a plan to address whatever that was differently now, so that that doesn't cause you to break up again. Ben says, she felt like she couldn't give me what I deserved and feared she may never be able to. Okay, well, based off of that, now she's sounding very avoidant. Those are very classically avoidant terms that they use with breakups. So it could be that things got too close and she really does not believe that she can give you what you need and deserve. And a lot of times I recommend believing those people. Because maybe she believes that you need somebody that's emotionally available. You need somebody that can have the hard conversations. She knows that she is too scared to do that, and she doesn't want to, or is unwilling to make the changes to be able to show up in a relationship in the way that you need and deserve. So now she's sounding more avoidant, and you cannot force or fix her to change and want to show up for the relationship. If you're still in a relationship, you can create safety and tell them that you're there for them. But if she's trying to pull away and just is ultimately done, she might have already completely deactivated and taken herself out of the situation, then there's not a lot that you can or really should do in this situation, but to realign yourself with somebody that can and is willing to have those hard conversations. Whew, oh my gosh, lots of talking. The Nick Fit, red might be your color. Thank you. Trav says, how do you manage your emotions to stop from being too attached too soon? Take things slowly. Go slow. Stay grounded. Do a reflection, like write in a journal or in your notes, whatever it is, and write the things that you learned about them, things that you need to consider, whether there were any like red or yellow flags, things that are maybe question marks, where is their alignment, where do values match. Go into each situation looking for alignment in your goals, what you want in life, your values. Obviously personality alignment is important too, but don't just get caught up in the emotions and the fun and the excitement of everything, but actually look for real connection and notice how you're feeling in their presence, and pace things out slowly rather than rushing in, and rather than giving them all of your attention, texting all the time right away. Keep it paced out so that you and your nervous system have time to figure out if this person is really aligned with you. Oh, my live is TikTok is making me do this whole puzzle thing every time when it goes like beyond an hour. Okay, perfect. Daja says, it is a 4-hour drive. We met in my location. He made an itinerary but didn't book the places he picked. They were all booked now. Not my favorite. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like a red flag as far as him as a person. But if you are looking for more of that leader masculine role, then it's more of like at least a yellow that, okay, he didn't have the foresight. Maybe he's not the best planner. But if he can recover, find some other places, book those, cover all of that, and make it all still a good experience, then okay, you can see like how things go. Maybe it was all just a big mistake. Maybe he was super busy. Just take it slow. Don't rush into things. Don't see that like this person has to be one and done right now. But if he still like is putting in the effort to make it work, and he's upset or sad that it didn't work out that way, but he's gonna take all the steps to still figure it out in the end, that's probably still okay. All right, I'm gonna finish up very soon in like a couple minutes. So Amim says, is it wrong to say that you want to change all your toxic traits for the one you love? No, that's not wrong. You wanting to actually heal and work on your wounds and change the things that are making relationships tough and unhealthy and challenging for you is actually really powerful and beautiful. That's the kind of thing that we actually want in a healthy relationship, is somebody that's willing to look at themselves, look at the shadows, look at the hard parts that we try to avoid, that we spend our whole lives trying to avoid, and actually face it and want to heal it. That's beautiful. So not at all is that a bad thing. I think that's a really beautiful thing instead. Okay. Thank you all so much. My voice is failing me now, but thank you for joining the live. I do these lives every single week on Fridays around this time, and I have much more content on my YouTube page. I'm more here on TikTok. If you want to book a coaching session, the link is on my page, and then you can also apply for my full coaching program. That's all there too. I have a free no contact emergency kit as well that you can grab on my page. And thank you all so much, and I will see you next week.